Yes, y'all didn't think it was gonna happen. Prime time, we coming to you from another country. See, the M is silent, the M is quiet because in life, the smaller things will lead you to the bigger opportunities. I go by the name of the Entertainer. Follow me on all social media platforms at Entertainer and even on Cash App. Ladies and gentlemen, we coming to you from the 416, Toronto, Canada. This young man, known all over the world as a professional speaker.
How are you?
He brought it to you with the breakdown with Dave Audley. He ain't run DMC, but he want to know you're down with the king. He is the commissioner. He's not David Stern, he's not Adam Silver, but he is the commissioner of the NBL, the National Basketball League of Canada. Check out the website, NBLCanada.ca. Follow him on social media at NBL Canada. Ladies and gentlemen,
done it all.
You about to hear from, you about to learn from Audley Stephenson, also known as the Aud Man. Follow him on his own channel at the Aud Man. How you doing today, my brother?
All is well, Derek. You got them all. My goodness, congrats! Thank you. That's almost it's like an episode of This Is Your Life.
Hey, they call that D-search, you know? Not research, D-search.
I got you.
Hey, it's a blessing to have you, man. You know, we traded, messages back and forth over the years. So it's a blessing to have you, man. So I know time is money in your hands, so I want to get into asking some questions through the word Canada, because you're in a different world right now. The C is for career. You're the commissioner right now. We're gonna get into that. But what are some things you've done in your past? Like I mentioned some of the things, but get into, so people can see, some of the things you've done or had to do or wanted to do to get to where you're at.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when I think about my career. It's been full. I guess I've been blessed enough with the opportunity to do a lot of different things. I think more than anything else, regardless of whatever job or role I had, I was doing it from a place of passion. I was doing what I was driven by, what I was interested in, things that excited me, and that was always sort of the foundation of everything that I've done. I think my first, so early in my career, I wanted to work in social work and be a social worker, and I did a lot of community work and different initiatives, different youth work, advocacy work to support our communities, and I was convinced that I wanted to be a social worker, and that's what I wanted to do. However, I think there were other things that were calling me, and the one thing that I found of interest is everything that you do over your course of the life, it matters. It contributes to something, and maybe in that exact moment, you're in a job or you're in a role, and you may not fully grasp why you're here for that moment. But there's always either something you can take away, something you can contribute, or something you can look back on that says now it makes sense. I heard an expression the other day that looking at life forward is a mystery. When you look back at it, it's a science, and it all makes sense when you look back at it. And so for me, there was a lot of things that made sense after the fact. I went from a social worker to also working with as an administrator in the government, as a consultant for the federal government here in Canada, as well as the provincial government. I also had an opportunity to start my very own podcast back in like 2007, 2008. And this was in a day where podcasts weren't very popular or very common. I mean, now I oftentimes joke they're kind of like a business card, right? Everyone's got one, right? So, but back then that definitely wasn't the case. And my partner and I decided that we'd go out and foray into this new world of communication, if you will. And we started an NBA podcast, and it was very, very successful. Lots and lots of listeners. We were one of the first credentialed podcasts here in Toronto by the Raptors. So, we're now interviewing NBA players in the dressing room before games, after games. We're in the media scrums. We were really, part of the fabric of the media fabric that made up, what when you think of how a team gets covered, we were very much a part of that, and that went on. We back continuously, and in around the NBL Canada started. Oops, did I lose you?
No, you're right there. I'm listening.
No, there we go. And I know NBL Canada started about in 2011. I jumped on board and I was doing a lot of the media work, a lot of the communications, and because I really supported and believed in the goal of the league and wanted to advance the brand. So we did that. I did that for several years. But also while I was doing that, I was still doing other things on the side. I hosted a hip hop radio show and Down with the Kings that you referenced. Also had my own media brand, which I produced content, and I was a content producer. So it's again, all of these things have sort of contributed to kind of where I'm at now. And then in 2017, the board of directors of NBL Canada approached me and asked me if I was interested in taking on the role of being deputy commissioner, which I was appointed to. That was 3 years ago. So this is why I spent a lot of my time supporting the league, and it's been a great career. It's far from done, and I'm always eager to see what comes next.
Okay, great. Hey, as for athletes, who are some of your favorite athletes?
Oh, gee, I've got a whole host. I mean, for me, I have a tremendous amount of respect for athletes. When you look at the dedication that they put in to their craft, and hard work and commitment. I mean, we as fans, we see the end product, right? We see where they're at. We're seeing when they're making the big plays or winning the championships or all those things, but we don't get to see, what goes on behind the scenes and all the hours of work that they spent to get where they got to. I mean, growing up, I was a big Magic Johnson fan and the LA Lakers. The Showtime Lakers gave me a lot of good memories. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, loved the skyhook, the most unstoppable move in the history of basketball. And that really got me going. I was a big fan of the Detroit Pistons. I love that bad boy smash mouth type of basketball. And then lo and behold, I became a Knicks fan. And I'll tell you, being in Canada, where basketball wasn't as popular as it is now, you didn't find very many New York Knicks fans or Patrick Ewing fans or Charles Oakley or John Starks. That wasn't the case at all. But we certainly we found ways to consume the sport and enjoy it. But yeah, I was just basketball has always been my thing, and throughout the years, there's been so many players who I've appreciated, I've loved. Obviously, the Kobe's, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James. Even Steph Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant, a lot of the players, even of this current era, has just been a lot of appreciation for what they do, and you can learn a lot from them and the lessons that they learn through their life to get to where they are now.
The end is for NBDL. What all cities in Canada are part of the NBDL?
So it's NBL. There's no D in there. So National Basketball League of Canada, and in our league, we've got 8 teams that spread out between Ontario and the Maritimes in Canada. Certainly, for those that are familiar with some of our Canadian cities, the Windsor Express, which is probably the closest team to the U.S. border, right on the other side of Detroit. You got the team in Windsor. Not very far from Windsor is the London Lightning. I should also mention Windsor's a 2-time champion. They've won our championship twice in our league. The London Lightning have won it 4 times. They're about 2 hours, about an hour and a half away from Windsor. The Kitchener Waterloo Titans, which is about 45 minutes away from London. And then about 3 hours north, you've got the Sudbury Five, which is one of the newer teams in our league. And they played for the last 3 seasons. And those are primarily the teams that make up the Ontario Central region. When you head over sort of the eastern side of the country, Moncton Magic, who actually won our championship last season, they're located in New Brunswick. You've got the Halifax Hurricanes, which also a former champion in our league as well, in Halifax. The Island Storm, which is in PEI, Prince Edward Island. And then finally, you've got the St. John's Edge, and they're located in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Okay, the A is for America. Some athletes that may watch it later. If they wanted to play in Canada, find out about tryouts, how can they be a part of your league?
Well, I mean, the teams themselves are, much like, the NBA, right? The teams are responsible for scouting, recruiting their own talent. So I would say to any player to reach out to the teams in our league to inquire about possibilities and things of that tryouts. All teams have their websites, coaches' information on their site, or contact information, and that would be the best course or best direction to head into.
All right. The D is for develop. From your standpoint, what athletes need to develop? What's one thing they need to develop on the court, and one thing they need to develop off the court?
Well, I think it's a whole host of things. Each player, they all bring their uniqueness to the table. They all bring their specialty. I think it's important for players to identify, what their strengths are, build on that, and at the same time, the areas of improvement or their weaknesses or the opportunities to also spend some time on that as well. Regardless of which one you're focusing on, there's a level of dedication that you're just quite frankly going to need to have. Without that, then it's going to be difficult to find any real measure of success. And also recognize that development process is ongoing. It doesn't stop. It's continuous. You could win a championship tomorrow, but that doesn't mean you quit after that. It just keeps going. There's always room for growth. There's always opportunities. So I think the important thing when we talk about development, that it is ongoing and it's continuous process.
Right, because after the championship, we lift the weights the next day.
That's right.
So we got a break. Hey, the A is for appreciate, man. I appreciate you, man. That's why I brought out my basketball tie.
Nice. I didn't even notice that there. It's nice, Derrick.
Yeah, that's my basketball ascot. I make different types of ties. So,
nice.
Let me know, man. I'll create something for you. With everything going on, man, it's easy to look at the negativity, different things going on, in this 2020. What do you appreciate about life, man, since, we still here?
Well, I think that's exactly it. We are still here. I think there's much more to be happy about than to be concerned about. I'm not suggesting or downplaying that things are easy. I'm not suggesting or ignoring the fact that there's issues out there that we've got to deal with. Obviously, we're in the midst of a pandemic still that we still need to figure out collectively. The social injustices that are sort of taking place that are now in the forefront of our conversations. We also have to recognize that that's something that needs our collective attention. Now isn't the time for finger pointing. Now isn't the time to say it's all this person's fault or that person's fault. It's really time for us to come together and figure out collectively, how we can solve some of these issues that we're dealing with. For me, myself personally, I've just really appreciated family more than I ever have before. I've had a lot of opportunity to spend a lot of time with them and to love them all over again. And I think that's really, really important. I've got my health, my family's got our health, which is an absolute blessing. And really, I just don't take anything for granted, Derrick, because things could be a whole lot different, a whole lot worse. And I think if we continue to focus on the positive things and not to pretend like things will magically get better and we'll be problem free, but certainly to remember that there's much for us to be appreciative of. And that's the key as I see it.
Yes, right. Hey, before we go, is there anything you'd like to share or anything we forgot?
No, listen, I really appreciate you reaching out and taking the time and chatting like this. You've always been out there. You've always been an innovative guy, a creative guy. I love the way that you're using the mediums the way you have been, and I think that's an important thing. The messages, people still need to hear those messages, and I appreciate you that you continue to deliver them throughout the years, because you didn't just start this yesterday or the day before. You've been doing this for a minute, and that's important that people understand that. So I appreciate you for doing that. Keep on the grind. It all counts towards something, Derrick. It really does.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I appreciate that, because actually last Friday I was on TMZ, and today I'm with the commissioner. So,
there we go.
People may see you do one thing, but they don't see the, everything that you've done throughout the years.
Right.
Like you said, it all adds up. Man, I appreciate you chiming in from Toronto, Canada.
Thank you.
Drake, not the only superstar in the 416. But ladies and gentlemen, the commissioner of the National Basketball League of Canada. Check out the website, NBLCanada.ca.
Appreciate it, Derrick.
I'm at NBL Canada. His name is Audley Stephenson. You call him the Aud Man. You can follow him at the Aud Man. Hey, it's always a blessing.
Thank you, Derrick. I'm glad to be on prime time. Thank you very much, and keep up the great work, my friend.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Because, like I say, the M is small and the M is silent, because the small things will lead you to the big opportunities. Whether you're in Canada or in Columbus, Georgia, watch what you say, watch what you do. Because everything you say and do, somebody is watching. And it may be the only school that they ever see. So Zay Sanford at Zay Sanford Music, he brought us in, and he's going to take us away.
Have a good night.
Derrick Hayes.